Melania Trump has vanished from the spotlight, and people everywhere are asking, why? Once the poised, silent figure standing beside Donald Trump, Melania now seems to be missing from rallies, events, and even family photos. Was it political fatigue, personal heartbreak, or something deeper? From whispered rumors to undeniable absences, the clues are all there. Her silence is louder than ever, and it's no accident. Behind the curtain lies a story of grief, resistance, and a woman trapped between duty and desire. If you've wondered why Melania Trump isn't around anymore, this is the truth the cameras never captured. The vanishing act. Melania Trump wasn't always so hard to find. In fact, during the early days of her husband's political rise, she was a fixture, poised beside Donald at major events, giving interviews, even delivering a convention speech. But now, she's gone quiet. Not just quiet, gone. No rallies, no press, no holiday photos. And for many, the silence is deafening. The shift wasn't sudden, but it was unmistakable. Even in the 2016 campaign, Melania was rarely seen. "I'm a full-time mom," she said then, brushing off questions about her absence. But insiders knew better. It wasn't just about Barron. Melania didn't want to be a political wife. She wanted to be left alone. Over the years, this desire for privacy grew into something stronger: resistance. She was never comfortable in the harsh spotlight of politics, the endless scrutiny, the media traps, the public performances. It wasn't her world. A friend once told the New York Times she married a businessman, not a president. And when she vanished from the campaign trail in 2023, many assumed it was another soft retreat. But it wasn't just a break. It was a full disappearance. "Where is Melania?" became a trending topic. And while her team claimed she was focused on family, especially her ailing mother, the timing of her exit raised questions that haven't stopped. Melania's absence might have seemed sudden, but the roots of it run deep. To understand why she vanished now, we have to go back to a time before Trump's presidency, when Melania was already warning what politics would do to her life. And in those early conversations, she made one thing clear: she never wanted this. Her quiet resistance to politics. When Donald Trump first floated the idea of running for president, Melania Trump didn't celebrate. She hesitated. In a 2015 interview with Du Jour magazine, she admitted, "I said to him, 'Are you sure you want to do this?' It wasn't just concern. It was dread. She knew her life, as she loved it, would never be the same." Before politics, Melania enjoyed a curated, luxurious routine. She wasn't a public figure by choice. She preferred private galas, not campaign stops. Their Fifth Avenue penthouse, weekends at Mar-a-Lago, quiet family time, those were her comforts. And the idea of giving all that up for the chaos of politics? It terrified her. She wasn't wrong. From the moment Donald announced his campaign, the media turned its lens on Melania. Every detail, her accent, her wardrobe, her past, was dissected. Still, she kept a safe distance. In 16 months of campaigning, she appeared at just a handful of events. She wasn't hiding, one former aide said. She was surviving. Even after her husband won, Melania delayed moving into the White House. It wasn't a scheduling conflict. It was reluctance. She stayed in New York for months, citing Barron's schooling. But insiders knew the truth. "She never signed up for this," said one close friend. "She just didn't want to leave her old life behind." While Melania held her ground in private, public moments began to pull her in, whether she liked it or not. And when she finally stepped into the national spotlight, the world wasn't always kind. One moment in particular, meant to elevate her, nearly broke her instead. The speech that backfired. When Melania Trump gave her speech at the 2016 Republican National Convention, she was poised, polished, and prepared. But within hours, the praise turned to outrage. Observers noticed entire sections mirrored Michelle Obama's 2008 speech, word for word. What should have been Melania's shining moment became a national embarrassment. The backlash was swift. Headlines accused her of plagiarism. Late-night hosts mocked her. Reporters demanded explanations. The Trump campaign scrambled, blaming a speechwriter. But the damage was done. It was humiliating for her, said one former staffer. She didn't want to give that speech in the first place. Melania, already reluctant to engage publicly, recoiled even further. After the controversy, she disappeared from the campaign trail again. When she did appear, it was on her terms, carefully staged, minimal talking, often saying more with her fashion than her words. She learned early on the cost of speaking out, said one political reporter. But this wasn't just about a speech. The media scrutiny that followed touched on everything: her past modeling career, her immigration history, even questions about her education. Melania, who valued dignity and privacy, found herself trapped in a political fishbowl. And she didn't like it one bit. As one friend told Vanity Fair, she trusts very few people now. With every public step came another bruise. Melania's silence wasn't a mystery. It was self-preservation. But just as she tried to retreat from the spotlight, the world dragged her back in, again and again. And soon, she would find herself at the center of a scandal far more personal than plagiarism or protocol, navigating personal and public challenges. Melania Trump's tenure as First Lady was marked by a series of personal and public challenges that tested her resilience. One significant incident was the release of the Access Hollywood tape in 2016, where Donald Trump made lewd comments about women. Melania responded by stating, "The words my husband used are unacceptable and offensive to me." Yet, she urged the public to accept his apology. This response showcased her attempt to balance personal disappointment with public loyalty. Further complicating her public image were allegations of Donald Trump's infidelity, including claims by adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Melania maintained a stoic silence during these times, choosing not to publicly address the controversies. Her decision to remain silent was interpreted by many as a means to protect her privacy and maintain dignity amidst the media frenzy. This approach, while criticized by some, highlighted her preference for handling personal matters privately. Melania's fashion choices also became a medium through which she navigated public challenges. Her "I really don't care, do you" jacket, worn during a visit to a migrant child detention center, sparked widespread criticism. While her spokesperson stated, "It's just a jacket," the public perceived it as a statement reflecting her stance on immigration policies. This incident underscored the scrutiny she faced, where even her attire was subject to intense analysis. Despite these challenges, Melania continued to fulfill her duties as First Lady, albeit in a reserved manner. She focused on initiatives like the Be Best campaign, aimed at promoting children's well-being. However, the campaign faced criticism for its perceived lack of depth and the irony of addressing cyberbullying while her husband was known for his contentious tweets. Nonetheless, Melania persisted, stating, "I am committed to the cause, and I will continue to work on behalf of children." While Melania managed to navigate these personal and public challenges with a composed demeanor, her absence became more pronounced during significant family events, leading to further speculation about her role and presence. The impact of Melania Trump's illness and passing. Melania Trump's close bond with her mother, Melania Trump, was evident throughout her public life. In late 2023, Melania's health began to decline, prompting Melania to prioritize her mother's well-being over public engagements. She was notably absent from the Trump family's 2023 Christmas card, a decision attributed to her mother's critical condition. A source close to Melania stated, "Family has always been her top priority." Tragically, Melania Trump passed away in early 2024. Melania expressed her grief publicly, describing her mother as a woman of strength and grace. This personal loss deeply affected Melania, leading her to retreat further from the public eye. Her absence from key events during this period was a reflection of her mourning and the importance she placed on family. Donald Trump acknowledged his mother-in-law's passing during a New Year's event, stating, "Melania was a remarkable woman, and her loss is deeply felt by our family." The couple's shared grief brought them closer, yet Melania's public appearances remained limited. Her decision to step back from public life during this time was respected by many, understanding the depth of her loss. This period of mourning highlighted Melania's values, emphasizing her commitment to family over public duties. Her actions during this time were consistent with her previous choices, where she often prioritized personal matters over public expectations. As one observer noted, Melania has always charted her own course, guided by her personal convictions. As Melania focused on her family during this challenging time, her son Barron Trump was also undergoing significant life changes, further influencing her decisions and public presence. Barron Trump's transition to college life. In 2024, Barron Trump graduated from high school and prepared to embark on his college journey. Melania, ever the devoted mother, dedicated her time to supporting him through this transition. She was often seen accompanying Barron on college visits, ensuring he felt supported during this pivotal moment. A family friend remarked, "Melania's focus has always been on Barron's well-being." Her commitment to Barron's education and adjustment to college life meant that Melania's public appearances became even more infrequent. She chose to remain close to her son, providing the stability and support he needed. This decision was in line with her long-standing approach to motherhood, where she often prioritized her son's needs over public obligations. As she once stated, "Being a mother is my first job." Melania's absence from the 2024 campaign trail was notable, but those close to her understood her reasons. She believed that her presence was more crucial at home during this transitional phase for Barron. Her actions reflected a deep-seated belief in the importance of family and the role of a mother in guiding her child through significant life events. As one insider noted, Melania's world revolves around Barron. While some criticized her for not participating more actively in the campaign, others admired her dedication to her son's growth and development. Her choices during this time underscored her consistent prioritization of family over politics. As Melania once expressed, "I believe in focusing on what truly matters." As Melania devoted herself to her son's transition into adulthood, her limited engagement in the 2024 campaign became a topic of discussion, shedding light on her evolving role in the political landscape. A First Lady unlike any other. From the very beginning, Melania Trump made it clear she would be a different kind of First Lady. She wasn't interested in photo ops or basking in political limelight. "I'm a full-time mom. That is my first job," she once said. That attitude set the tone for her entire tenure: quiet, distant, and deeply private, unlike Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton before her. Melania didn't try to win over the press, and she didn't want to be a political tool. While other First Ladies took bold initiatives or frequent interviews, Melania stayed silent, often so much so that it raised eyebrows. People asked, "Where is she? What does she believe?" The mystery only fueled speculation. Some assumed she was disengaged. Others believed she was deliberately choosing to remove herself from the chaos. Either way, it was rare to see her involved in her husband's political controversies or defenses. She chose to say little, and in doing so, said a lot. That public silence didn't mean she was unaffected. Melania was regularly pulled into controversies, from the infamous "I don't care" jacket to rumors about her personal life. But she rarely responded publicly. When she did, her words were carefully chosen. After the Stormy Daniels scandal, she simply said, "I know people like to speculate, but I have more important things to think about." It was both a deflection and a declaration of her independence. Even now, long after her husband's presidency ended, Melania's elusive approach continues to shape her image. She's not just out of sight, she's strategically withdrawn. Her absence is not passive, it's purposeful. As one political strategist put it, Melania has mastered the art of staying relevant by being absent. But despite her intentional silence, Melania has not been completely free from controversy, especially when it came to her own history. The spotlight eventually turned toward her past, and what it revealed created another storm she couldn't ignore: the biography controversy and immigration backlash. When Donald Trump made immigration a cornerstone of his presidency, critics quickly turned to Melania's own story and found troubling inconsistencies. Questions emerged about her visa status, her work history in the U.S., and even her academic background. "There are gaps that don't add up," one investigative reporter noted. The First Lady's team scrambled to clarify, but the damage was done. Melania's official biography claimed she earned a degree in architecture and design in Slovenia. But that didn't hold up under scrutiny. Reporters discovered she had dropped out after 1 year. The campaign later corrected this, but trust had already eroded. The contradictions raised an uncomfortable irony. How could the First Lady be part of an administration so tough on immigration while her own story was filled with inconsistencies? Then came the rumors about how she first entered the U.S. While Melania insisted she followed all legal steps, documents leaked to the press suggested she may have worked in the country before obtaining the proper visa. The Trump campaign promised a press conference to clear the air, but it never happened. Instead, Melania issued a short statement. "I have at all times been in full compliance with the immigration laws of this country." Legal or not, the controversy left a mark. Melania's story became a symbol of contradiction within the Trump White House. Her silence on the issue only made it worse. Critics pounced on the idea that she was held to a different standard, while her husband cracked down on other immigrants for lesser offenses. Still, Melania never apologized. She never offered further explanation. Her strategy remained the same: stay quiet, stay composed, and let the storm pass. As one commentator observed, she doesn't engage with critics, she just disappears until the noise dies down. But disappearing wasn't always a choice. Sometimes, Melania had to face the noise head-on, especially when personal scandals hit closer to home. One such storm erupted during the height of her husband's presidency, and it left lasting scars on her image. The lawsuits and legal defenses that spoke volumes. In the heat of the 2016 election, the British press published an explosive report suggesting Melania had once worked as an escort. The story spread quickly. For Melania, this was a step too far. She didn't just issue a denial, she sued. Through her lawyer, she demanded retractions and damages for defamation, and she got them. The publications printed apologies and paid undisclosed settlements. "I have always conducted myself with integrity and dignity," she stated. It was one of the few moments where Melania went on the offensive, and it revealed something critical about her character. When the line was crossed, she was willing to fight. She was protective of her image and her past, even if she didn't always speak up about politics. That legal action served as a warning. Melania might be quiet, but she was not to be underestimated. Another lawsuit followed shortly after. This time, it was directed at the Daily Mail for publishing similar escort-related rumors. In her court filings, Melania argued the false stories had harmed her brand, potentially costing her millions in lost business opportunities. Again, she prevailed, winning a substantial settlement. The message was clear. She valued her reputation and wouldn't let falsehoods define her. These lawsuits not only protected her image, but also gave the public a rare glimpse into Melania's emotional state. In legal documents, her team argued that the rumors caused her emotional distress and humiliation. It was a moment of vulnerability, one rarely seen from the famously stoic First Lady. In the end, these legal victories did more than silence tabloids. They solidified Melania's commitment to controlling her own narrative. She wouldn't argue on Twitter or in press conferences. She'd use the courtroom instead. As one insider noted, Melania doesn't yell. She files papers. Even with the lawsuits behind her, Melania's image remained under constant scrutiny, especially in the wake of the Trump family's high-stakes return to the political spotlight. The pink bow that said everything. When Melania Trump appeared at the second presidential debate in 2016 wearing a hot pink pussy bow blouse, the world took notice. And not just for the fashion. The accessory, typically feminine and uncontroversial, became a bold symbol. Why? Because just days earlier, the Access Hollywood tapes had leaked, revealing Donald Trump making graphic comments about women. The timing wasn't missed. Many saw it as a silent protest. Others believed it was a calculated move to show defiance and loyalty at the same time. Fashion experts, political analysts, and the public all speculated. It was like she was saying, "I hear everything, and I'm still here," one fashion columnist wrote. But Melania never explained it. True to form, her silence allowed people to project their own meaning onto her choices. This wasn't the first or last time Melania used clothing as a statement. From the white pantsuit at the 2018 State of the Union to the infamous "I really don't care, do you" jacket, she consistently blurred the line between fashion and message. When asked about the controversial jacket, she later told ABC News, "It was for the people and for the left-wing media who are criticizing me." But the pink blouse was different. It came at a time of personal humiliation and national uproar. And still, she showed up. She smiled. She stood by her husband. Whether it was a subtle jab, an inside joke, or a private act of resistance, one thing was certain. Melania knew exactly what she was doing. "She speaks with her clothes," a close aide once said. "That's how she talks when she won't talk." That allegations, accusations, and emotional fallout. As multiple women stepped forward to accuse Donald Trump of sexual misconduct, Melania was thrust once again into an unwanted spotlight. One of the most chilling accounts came from Natasha Stoynoff, a People magazine journalist who alleged that Trump forcibly kissed her at Mar-a-Lago while Melania was upstairs changing. The moment cast a shadow over the couple's marriage and left Melania visibly shaken. Publicly, she stood by her husband. "He was egged on," she said in response to the Access Hollywood tape, hoping people would accept his apology. But behind the scenes, sources say Melania was deeply affected. "She was humiliated, of course she was," said a former aide. Still, she didn't leave. She didn't flinch in public. She did what she always did. She retreated. Her silence, once seen as elegance, began to be interpreted as emotional distance. Critics wondered if she was complicit, while supporters saw a woman trapped by circumstances. But those who knew her best understood that Melania was enduring something more complex, a private heartbreak being played out on the national stage. "She doesn't believe in showing pain," said a friend, "but that doesn't mean she doesn't feel it." Even more telling was her legal team's response to Stoyanov's story. Melania's lawyer, Charles Harder, sent a strongly worded letter denying that Melania ever spoke to the journalist afterward. It wasn't just a denial of the encounter, it was a denial of any relationship at all. "Melania Trump does not know this woman," the letter read. It was a small, cold line, but one that revealed just how tightly Melania was trying to control what little of her privacy remained. While the public dissected her every move, Melania clung to the one role that still gave her meaning and purpose: motherhood. And that devotion would soon explain her most noticeable absence of all: a First Lady, missing in action. As the Trump 2024 campaign ramped up, Melania's absence became harder to ignore. She wasn't at the rallies. She wasn't at the debates. She wasn't even mentioned much by Trump himself. Then, photos began circulating online. Mysterious flyers asking, "Missing. Have you seen this woman?" plastered across Iowa during the primaries. It was a political stunt, sure, but the question resonated: where was Melania? Sources close to the family revealed she was tending to her mother, who had been hospitalized with a severe illness. But even before that, insiders knew Melania was unlikely to rejoin the public sphere anytime soon. "She's focused on being a mom, not a first lady," one friend said. And that's been her guiding principle since day one. This time, however, her absence wasn't just about privacy or political fatigue. It was about grief. Her mother, Melania Trump, had been gravely ill and later passed away. Melania was by her side the entire time, sacrificing holidays, public appearances, and family events. "My mother was a pillar of strength and grace," she wrote on X. Her pain was raw and real. Even Donald Trump acknowledged the depth of the loss. At a New Year's Eve event at Mar-a-Lago, he told the crowd, "Melania's mother is very, very ill. She's with her right now." For once, even he stepped aside and allowed her the space she needed. It was a rare human moment in a campaign filled with drama and division. But while the public gave Melania space to grieve, the media remained relentless. And just when it seemed she might return to the public eye, her absence sparked an entirely new wave of questions. The Christmas card controversy. When the Trump family released their 2023 Christmas card, the image sparked an instant reaction, not for what it included, but for who it didn't. Melania Trump was noticeably absent. Barron was there, Donald was there. Even Melania's elderly father appeared in the photo, but she was nowhere to be seen. The internet buzzed. Had she left him? Was she refusing to support his campaign? Rumors flew, and media outlets speculated wildly. But the truth, once again, was far more personal. Melania was at her mother's side in her final days. The image, meant to spread cheer, became a symbol of sorrow instead. Melania's absence didn't go unnoticed by political insiders either. Strategists quietly admitted it looked bad, not because it signaled division in the family, but because it suggested that even she no longer believed in the campaign. "Optics matter," said one campaign consultant. "And when the First Lady doesn't show up, people ask why." Still, Melania said nothing. She didn't explain her absence. She didn't release her own holiday message. Instead, when her mother passed, she shared a quiet, heartbreaking post honoring her life and love. She was devoted to her family, "And we will miss her deeply," it read. It was her only public statement during one of the most politically chaotic seasons of the year. In those final days of 2023, the world learned something profound, not through speeches or interviews, but through Melania's silence. She wasn't just avoiding politics, she was choosing peace, choosing family. And that choice was louder than any campaign speech. Melania Trump's retreat from the public eye wasn't just a quiet goodbye. It was a quiet rebellion. Through scandal, sorrow, and silence, she chose privacy over performance. Her mother's death, her husband's storm of controversies, and the toll of a life lived in someone else's shadow all pushed her to step away. In a world that demands answers, Melania gave none, only distance. But in that absence, she made a statement more powerful than words. Whether she returns or not, her disappearance reminds us. Sometimes, the loudest message is the one never spoken. And Melania Trump may have said all she needed to.